Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. This morning we're talking a bit more about what's happening in Tobago in regards to the healthcare sector and everything that's relevant. And this morning, as we have that conversation, I have with me on set this morning the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Mr. Watson Duke. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Tobago.
All right, well, it's a pleasure to have you back on set with me this morning as we discuss all that's happening here in Tobago.
Yeah.
But one of those prominent things that we see happening, actually two of those prominent things we have spoken about briefly before, the crime situation on the island and healthcare. But I think it was only last week that you held a press conference where you were discussing the state of healthcare on the island and a number of things that were a part of the Progressive Democratic Patriots mandate that you have not seen being instilled in the current healthcare policy. What are some of those things that you and this current administration had agreed upon as being the way forward for healthcare on the island that you are not seeing?
Well, let's establish the fact that prior to election day, each and every one of those candidates signed a contract with their constituency and by extension the people of Tobago, whereby they would have said, hey, we are committed to fulfilling this mandate and you will have a copy of this contract to keep us in line, to keep monitoring us. It was an applaudable stance of their commitment to get the job done. But as we understand, no sooner than they got in, they abandoned Tobago and claimed that they were independent persons. Notwithstanding that, we would have planned from since 2016 what healthcare should look like on the island. We believe that we have had at that time 100 beds at the new hospital, but we were desirous of having an additional 250 beds altogether. Tobago must become the premier of healthcare for the entire Caribbean, and we're talking about health tourism. And in order to be the premier healthcare facility, Tobago had to upgrade its beds and the quality operations within the hospital. We have three hospitals. The first one, Fort King George Hospital, in Scarborough, on the fort. That has 67 beds. Let's call it 70 beds. We have the new Roxborough Hospital, 20 beds. That's 90 beds there that are unavailable for use. And these 9 beds have been unavailable for use for years now. The hospital has 100 beds. And as we know the story, there are more patients at the Signal Hill new hospital than there are beds. And you have to wait for a bed sometime. To create a level of comfort for our Tobago people, we wanted to activate those 70 beds at the Fort Hospital, have those functioning properly, and the 20 beds at the Roxborough Hospital, that should have gone into full operation many years ago. They have not done that. Fort is being used as a plaything, as an experiment, as a lab, right? No serious work is going on up there at all. I see 4 hospital beds up there, totally underutilized. And Roxborough is used as a showpiece. We have a new Roxborough hospital with 20 beds that are not available for use. And we have the beds at the Signal Hill Hospital totally exhausted. We are saying that that was a plan of the PDP to incorporate more. More than that, we were supposed to expand healthcare as district healthcare. Rather than having 19 health centers available every day, we would have converted those 19 health centers, and that's from since 2016, into centers of health and wellness programs, right? For seniors, for pregnant mothers, for different things. It's like specialized areas we're going to have. 19 of them will be utilized for that. And we will build a new facade of health centers, something that is 24 hours a day. Our health centers would be 24-hour health centers, something like the Roxborough Health Center being a model of that, where each health center would have 15 beds in it. And if there are 15 districts, we have 15 health centers, we have 15 beds, that's 300 beds we would have added. 300 beds we would have added to our 100 beds. You see the maths, everything add up. So it's not a wild idea that we have from the bush. It's an idea that was very thoughtful. It came from the people, and our mandate is in pursuance of the excellence that people of Tobago desire. That's a few things. Let me recap again. Expand the health centers to look like Roxborough Hospital with 10 beds, and you do minor procedures inside of it. Yeah. 2, you convert all of the health centers into health and wellness centers. We want to be the healthiest country in the Caribbean. We want to be the premier for healthcare in the Caribbean. We want to attract people from outside of Trinidad and Tobago to come for healthcare. And in doing that, we are going to have more guest houses rent. More persons will be coming not just for healthcare, but also for vacationing. We're talking health tourism, more meals on the island. We need to boost it. It's a way of making income. They have failed. In order to ensure that they're properly manned, we would have had doctors stationed in every district. So it means spending some money, but you have to spend money in order to make money. So every district would have had doctors and nurses attached to it. These persons, as far as reasonable and practicable, would have quarters, doctors' quarters and nurses' quarters, etc. So they're always within the environment, and even though when things are slow, they are on call.
Right. And why do you think at this point in time the Roxborough Hospital is not operating at its full capacity?
Well, my colleague, Dr. Faith, is incompetent, and therefore they cannot operationalize the Roxborough health facility, well, let me call it health facility or hospital, to its fullest capacity. You must understand that when you're leading, you have to lead. It means there are priorities and there are things that are not priorities. Operationalizing the Roxborough Hospital to its fullest capacity is a top tier priority for the Division of Health. That should come first. It takes the load off of the East coming to the West for healthcare services.
Don't you think that is a part of their current priority?
No, it's not.
Explain to us why.
Well, when something's a priority, priority still means number one, right? When a woman asks a man to be her priority, to make him her priority, his priority, then he has to place her first. First message we read will be that message, right? And if healthcare in the East is a priority, then I'm telling you, that place would have been operationalized for 24 hours. Right now, it's going up to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and after that, if you get sick, down to Scarborough. Why can't they have 2-3 doctors working up there? Why can't they have a full staff working up there to operationalize this thing on a night period? There can be shift work. There are many doctors in Tobago who have to go to Trinidad to find work. And there are many nurses in Trinidad who are not working because there's no work in Tobago nor Trinidad. We have to do an audit, a human resource audit of all the healthcare professionals and practitioners we have and put them to work. Tobagonians want to work. There are many expert doctors who exist outside Trinidad and Tobago in foreign and some of them regionally, and they're not called back to work. When a nation is serious about development, you make a call to your diaspora around the region and internationally to come and build your country. China did it. Japan did it. India done it. What are we doing? We are running them from our country.
Right. And in your capacity, when you served as Deputy Chief Secretary, you had the mandate to work on this developing diaspora affairs.
Yeah.
And healthcare was a part of that. What type of strategies were you working on putting in place to help boost Tobago's healthcare system through the diaspora?
Well, I had responsibility for the diaspora. But that responsibility was short-lived. There was no office operating. I was given a borrowed office, an office that was used by sports, division of sports, which was separated at that time. Yeah. My administrator was an administrator that was from sports, and he was sports administrator, still operating on behalf of sports. He was not my complete administrator. I had no staff. When you try to employ staff, real staff, to do real work, it's a big run around and play and games and song and dance. Somehow, I felt that he had a plan, but I did not see the plan until all of them sat well-dressed clapping. Crucify him. Crucify him. Then I understand that their plan was not to get work done, but to create a show of their own. You see, I was also responsible for monitoring and evaluating all the 12 divisions within the T.H.A, right? All the 12 divisions. Health and wellness and family life, etc. form part of that. When I wrote this CEO asking for certain information, the secretary is complaining to the chief secretary and say he's interfering. You cannot monitor and evaluate and make recommendations for changes unless you have that insulated authority to show up, ask questions, and ask for the production of certain information. Where are your policy statements? Where are your best practices? What are your standards for patient care? They don't have those things.
Understood. But we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back right after this.
It's a brand new morning. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates as we continue with our conversation here this morning with the leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Mr. Watson Duke. Welcome back, sir. We're talking a bit about development on the island and a number of development projects that we're seeing happening. What is your opinion on the proposed Rocky Point hotel development by Marriott?
I think that Tobago is in need of major hotel brands, whether it be the Marriott or Sanders or Hilton or whatever. We need major brands. In the world of tourism, there are backpackers, people who travel light and they will stay for cheap fees. They're happy with that because the excitement is in walking, riding a bicycle, hanging out, smoking a joint, catching a fish. You know, they enjoy that. They spend their money on that. And there are people who just come to relax and they want opulence, they want luxury, they want everything. Are totally all-inclusive and they want a standard because that's what they're accustomed to. And these are big spenders. They may not spend money buying a conch shell on the road, but they spend their money in the hotel where they're staying. They will spend 20,000 US for a vacation, just for 2 weeks or a week. These are the kind of people Tobago need to attract if we need to boost our economy. They will not come and stay in Roxborough or Palativille or these places. They will definitely come to a high-end place where they have a one-stop shop. And the Marriott is now presenting to us an offer in that regard. I am saying I have no problem with the Marriott Hotel. However, there are persons who are concerned about surfing, the turtle nest, and all of these things. And that's a very good interest they have expressed that should be taken on board. Therefore, I strongly recommend a meeting of minds. And I heard the developer of the plan, one of the developers of the plan or the interest group, saying that they will try to work around the turtle nesting and they will not disturb the beach and try to preserve the historical sites as much as possible. And that could be talk, but there need to be some level of agreement signed that yes, we're going to try to preserve this site for archaeological purposes and we will try to preserve this site for the surfers. We're going to try to preserve this site for the turtles coming up to nest. And I think that will create a win-win situation. I'm not sure if that conversation is taking place, but it should take place. And I think it could be a win for both persons, those with their grievance and those with their interests in economic development.
Excellent. And we saw in the headlines that recently a quantity of cocaine or cocaine-like substance was discovered in the Crown Point area. Well, we had spoken previously on the crime situation and how it's developing on the island of Tobago. Have you seen any progress with the conversations that you've had with the Chief Secretary and the recommendations that you made to them regarding the Tobago Department of Homeland Security?
No, there have been no progress along those lines. And I guess, again, they're incapable of those great ideas. What they want to do is to create a police state. So they have now invited the Guard and Emergency Branch and the another branch, ITF, or something they call it, to be in Tobago. And they want to give Tobago this militarized presence. My advice, though, to the ITF and the Guard and Emergency Branch, in coming to Tobago, understand the culture of Tobago is different from Trinidad. We are family-oriented people, and so therefore we do not accept extrajudicial killings at all. Anytime you have extrajudicial killings, your welcome will be persona non grata. And I want to make it absolutely plain here. I don't know what they expect the police to do coming here. Right? These 15 police coming here, what they're going to do different. If they're going to come here with some kind of brutal strength or extra strength, that they're going to rag up people, beat people, shoot people, kill people. I don't know what they intend to do. Because these police are required in Trinidad, where crime is spiraling out of control, and there's a short staff in Trinidad, as you know. We are also short staffed in Tobago. But the problem is not policing. The problem is in the research, the investigation, the analysis, getting the data. And if Tobago, we call it Homeland Security, could provide some support in that area, insofar as extending its surveillances to villages, households, etc. And you could pull up data and you could create a network of informants, so to speak, right? That is very secretive, protective, etc. And you could provide the police with information, then we would be able to follow through on the law in the right way. Which means the charged persons, bring them before the court, and they are proven innocent or guilty based on the facts. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. But I see the ITF here, the GEB here, and people are clapping and they find some cocaine. I'm not sure if that's as a result of those persons here, if it's a stage event or what. But all I'm saying, what are they here to do? Is it more boots on the ground? We have the army at Signal Hill. Why not ask the army to come out and have more joint patrol if you want more boots on the ground? This is a different culture here. Tobago and Trinidad is different. Yeah? And we have to be careful how we treat people here in Tobago.
Understood. And as we draw closer to the general elections that's going to be upon us very soon, we see a lot of political activity happening on the island. One of that was the Prime Minister being here just a few days ago, we can say, in his conversation with the Prime Minister, and we saw the Minister for Finance being here as well, Mr. Imbert, and he would have, a question was posed about Tobago getting the money that it needs for development, and his response, the Minister for Finance, was that Tobago is getting more money than the previous administration. What is your perspective on his outlook of Tobago getting more than enough?
Well, not more than enough, but you got more than what the previous PNM administration got from a PNM government. That's a very interesting comment. And it's instructive to me. He has all the information before him, so I can't critique him on that. However, I can say, thus far, coming September, this Fali incarnation of the T.H.A. would have had in their possession over $7.5 billion. Come September, a few months from now, yeah? So in July, August, September, next 3 months, they would have complete spending $7.5 billion. That's $7,500 million they would have spent in Tobago. Where has that money gone? Where is that money? All they're producing is cutlass work, sweep road work. That's what they're doing. Cutlass work. That's all we seem to be getting, turn on, turn off. You don't build an economy on that. And I have more to say on that later on in my launch in August. But definitely, I'm dissatisfied with the way Tobago is being managed with the money given. Yeah? To whom much is given, much is expected. $7.5 billion is a lot of money, and we should have seen more for that money on the island of Tobago.
Understood. And when it comes to the PDP and the Progressive Democratic Patriots' campaign for the upcoming general election, what can you tell the people that they can look forward to seeing from your party?
Well, I want to say that we have fixed a date for the campaign launch, and we have fixed a venue for it. And I'll say more about this as we evolve in the month of June. A date, a place has been fixed, and the type of event has also been fixed. It's going to be a wow kind of event as usual. You know, when the PDP come, we are always welcome.
Right. So are we going to see another boxing ring type of setting? Are you going to bring to Tobagonians a new incarnation of the chief secretary like you did before?
Well, we're doing something different, something magical, something that's going to be talk of the tongue. We are not a deadbeat organization. The PDP keeps reinventing, readjusting itself to suit the electorate of Tobago. We are not deadbeat politicians. You know, the way I will move and interact with people, it's quite different from all the other politicians. I will move and I will interact. And so we want to focus on that different politics altogether, not the deadbeat politics.
And what do you think is truly lacking right now in Tobago in regards to outreach to the people on the ground or the grassroots community?
I think honesty. It's more than communication. People on the ground requires honesty. They voted for honesty. They voted for integrity. And when I say honesty, I mean political honesty, political integrity. And they are not having that. What we are having is a lot of old talk, a lot of promise. Take my number, call me. Never answer. Let's have a meeting. The meeting cancel. And okay, I will help you. They never help you. And it makes people become wary of politicians of that sort, of that nature. That when they're in power, they do not help you. But when they're coming out of power, then they want to help you. And people are wary of that type of political stocks. That's why they vote, they pay them out. And that's why the QTP party will be voted out also too.
Right. And tell us about what you will be doing moving forward, if successful in that general election, to ensure that that does not happen under the Progressive Democratic Patriots.
Well, first of all, Watson Duke will always be Watson Duke. And that means I'm focused on people. I've always been that way, and I will continue being that way. I will always be a man whose boots is on the ground, who is in touch with the common people. I don't make myself no God or no big man up there. I will still be walking, stop me, talk to me. You don't even want to get a meeting, all right? And I will be fighting for the change that Tobago so desperately needs. One of that change is self-determination. We came in on a high mandate of self-determination. And as soon as we get in, it's a set of old talk, it's a set of hem and haw, and oh, we want this, we want that. But they inside are confused because they are all on a frolic of their own, a bunch of independents with independent ideas. When I go into office at the general election level or at the T.H.A. level, I expect to hold a leading position. I'm not going there to be no cog in any wheel or to hold up anybody's just tail or to shine anybody's boots. I'm going there to lead. And I'll be leading the argument on behalf of all Tobagonians that now it's time for self-determination for Tobago. We must determine within Tobago our political status, whether we want to be joined with Trinidad, whether we want to have an association with Trinidad, Barbados, and Guyana, or whether we want to simply be what we call independent. as Tobago with our own flag and national. We must have that conversation. Tobagonians never had that conversation, and I'm going there to lead that conversation. I'm also going there to ensure that Tobago's development is according to its view of itself. The people must determine within Tobago the type of economic development they want, the type of cultural development they want, and the type of social development they want. Everybody determines their own social development. Yeah? In this place in Italy, there is the boat, Venice, right? Where you call it some Guandora or something like that, right? Where people, and that's the customs. Mm. When you go on that and hear a man sing a song for you as part of their culture, yeah? What is our culture in Tobago? What it is. We have to deduce what our culture is and expand on that, because culture is what people travel to see. Are we losing our culture in Tobago? Or are we taking on the culture of Trinidad? Or are we taking the culture of America? That is something that must be distilled and made productive.
Excellent. And guys, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this.
It's a brand new morning, guys. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my name.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, guys. We have been chatting with the leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Mr. Watson Duke, and we've been having an interesting conversation in regards to what's happening in the PDP, the lead up to his general election campaign, and a number of other things in regards to what's happening here in Tobago. And you would have suggested earlier that you believe that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has assisted this administration in successfully being independent, but we still see that there is a strain between the relationship between the T.H.A. and the central government, which, you know, calls that statement into question. But what recommendations do you have for this administration moving forward in regards to the relationship with the central government and continuing to push the mandate for Tobago self-governance?
Well, first of all, they must recognize their capabilities and their limitations. It takes a wise man to understand that I'm incapable of delivering this, and let me pull the best and brightest minds to get the job done. The Chief Secretary is incapable of leading a conversation on Tobago's self-determination. None of them inside there are capable of doing that. All right? And I would want to say you should try and get expert minds and proper persons to do that, who are well researched, who know exactly what they're talking about, and not just repeating the ideas of men that they would have heard by the wayside.
And as we kind of wrap up this morning's conversation, I want to touch a bit on the oil spill situation and how that has affected Tobago fishermen, because, you know, they continue to come on, they continue to tell us, you know, the residual effect on them economically, especially the guys down there in Lambo.
Yes,
what would you have done differently to really bring about a higher level of assurance for them that, you know, their needs are being looked after, especially the fact that there's an international oil spill fund that is supposed to be given to Trinidad and Tobago to help with all the finances that went into that cleanup?
Well, it's critical to make mention of that oil spill fund that's available. They deal with the parent country. The parent country is Trinidad, known as Trinidad and Tobago. I've said it already. Trinidad, for all international purposes, is known as Trinidad and Tobago. Mm-hmm. Tobago is not known as Trinidad and Tobago. And so the Minister of Energy, T.R.H.A, would have had conversations with them. He would have put in the budget as the case may be. Mm-hmm. And it is with them they will deal with. Any money that is coming to Tobago goes to Trinidad and Tobago, which is Trinidad. And they will determine what they want to do with that money. As Chief Secretary, he has damaged the relationship with Trinidad, with the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister. You have damaged, I think it's irreparable now, because remember, they are of opposing political sides. And when he should have been a little more relaxed, he was rather defiant, and I would say rude to the Prime Minister to say, stay out of Tobago business, you know? The Prime Minister himself being a Tobagonian. He should have used that relationship that the Prime Minister is a Tobagonian with interest in Tobago to get more out of the Prime Minister as a negotiator. But he didn't do that. He wanted to show that he's a fighter. He wanted to fight Duke. He wanted to fight the Prime Minister. And he's the baddest man out. But he has never won a battle in his life. And so Tobagonians will now suffer as a result of the estranged relationships you have had with the central government, and they will not give Tobago anything worthwhile from that oil spill. They will say it is their resources, it is their expertise, and they are now putting back the money where the money came from in the first place, yeah? Because the persons who were really major in cleaning up the oil spill were Trinidadians and persons from around the Caribbean, maybe.
But what assurance can we then give to the fisher folk that their interests are being looked after? And
well,
compensation is, how do we advocate to ensure that they get the type of that they get the type of compensation that they need?
The only remedy would be in electing a new chief secretary and putting a new party to govern. This party, they have no interest in Tobago people. They are on a frolic of their own. They are all independents. And they are using the Tobago Forward, masquerading as if it's a new party, to project themselves on people as if they're ready. But when you look at the people, it's a bunch of retirees, from since T.R.H.A times, they're milling around him the foot. Young people are there. They're begging young people to come out to their family day, saying face paints and all kind of thing, to come out to their family day. They're begging people to come out. It's free. Anybody can come free. I don't know if that's how you win people. I think they need to go on their knees and put on sackcloth and ashes and repent, bend down their head as bulrush, and ask Tobago for forgiveness for their sins. They have been totally bad. 7.5 billion. Not 1 cent spent in Scarborough. Look how Scarborough look pulled down. Look how Scarborough look pulled down. Like an old woman with an old dress. Scarborough is not attractive. They need to vote out. The fishermen, only hope is in the PDP. And I'm saying that loud.
Understood. And we want to thank you so much, Mr. Duke, for coming on this morning and discussing with us. And guys, thank you so much for making Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments. And we hope you do have a great day. See you soon. Thank you.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawn.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates as we continue our conversations with the leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Watson Duke. We're talking all things that's happening in Tobago politics and what's happening in the PDP. And as we talk about what's happening in preparation for your campaign for the general elections, one of the questions that continue to arise: can we see a reuniting of yourself and the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine? Is that in the cards for you guys?
I think I have extended myself to the Chief Secretary on numerous occasions. And I deliberately did that so Tobago will know that I have done so, extended myself. Not once has the Chief Secretary extended his hand to me. All right? As a matter of fact, since he became Chief Secretary, I have not even gotten a water to drink from him. You know what I mean? So, hey, Watson, let me buy a water now. I have not even been told thanks for placing him there. Right? He says that because of him, I won my seat. So this is the kind of person we're dealing with. I wish him the best in all of his endeavors. But what we are looking at is not a new party. It is the Tobago Forwards. The Tobago Forwards, same blue color. Remember, it's Tobago Forwards that have now called themselves Tobago People Party. Right? Hoping that they would kidnap the political electorate during the next elections because they are in office. But if being in office gives you a right away to win in the next election, then PNM would have remained there for quite a long time. Being in office is no right away to the next election. So let the drums begin, let the game be played, and let the chips fall as it may. The PDP, our words are never retreat, never surrender. We are not going back to that place. I've extended my hand. I think I've moved on from that now. He has no interest in that, or apparently he's waiting until the dying moments of the game to switch. I have no interest in that. I wish him the best in his endeavors. I wish all of them the best in their endeavors. But for this PDP house, we be launching in August.
Oh, understood. And can we see the setup or the structure of the executive for the PDP during this launch? Because we know that during your split, that a number of the members of the executive would have submitted their resignation, and the only person that seems to still be a part of that is Mr. Sean Ned. So,
Only loyal person.
Are we going to see the new executive during that launch?
Well, you would see the executive. You would see the executive. We have now broadened our horizon, right? It's no longer just what we say. It's Tobago PDP, Trinidad PDP. All right, so it's you will see those persons there.
And one of the issues that came up before with the structure that the PDP had is the fact that there were not enough internal policies that would have contributed to a certain level of transparency, like bank accounts and the party being registered in the name of Watson Duke. These are the things that gave members a certain level of insecurity.
I'm glad you
would have been able to pull a party away from.
I'm glad you raised that point. Any party that is registered in Trinidad and Tobago under the EBC, that's where you register your party, the EBC, right, must be registered in the name of someone and someone's address. Every single party. The QTP has an address of, I think, Canby or Sherman Road or someplace like that, right? And I'm not sure who's the person who registered it, but it must be registered in someone's name, okay? It must be registered in someone's name. There's no party that can be registered in a party name. Now was registered in the name of T.R.H.A and A.N.R. Robinson, yeah? So it must, it's fundamental. So it's not to say that the party is registered in my name, and what do they expect? I build my party, you know, from under the street lights. So I must then build a party and put it in whose? Farley's name, Dr. Faith's name, Trevor's name, whose name? It's insane to even think that. Then the next question, that the policies were good to win the elections. The internal policies of the PDP were good enough for them to join and to win. They never complain about the policies until they win, and they wanted to disturb the peace of Tobagonians by claiming they're independent. Did Tobago vote for independence? Listen, that is so atrocious, that I think that when I get into power, there will be a commission of inquiry into that. That is so evil. Whether or not they were aided and assisted by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I have reasons to believe that they were aided and assisted by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. That's my belief. Because any self-respecting Prime Minister would not have allowed these bunch of independents to operate in that space for so long. But you know what? They thought that I would fade away and I would crumble. But Spartans do not go out like that.
Understood. And one of part of the previous questions that I asked is in regards to issues surrounding bank accounts and how monies were spent. That's something that was raised by members of the previous executive. That created a lack of transparency and therefore leading to a lack of confidence of the members in you as a leader.
No, we have a bank account. There's a registered bank account, and we have no money in the account, actually. There was never no money in the account to say there's money in the account. So when you're talking about registered bank account, I want to ask them if the Tobago Forwards have a bank account. Yeah, because that's the party they're operating on there. The Tobago Forwards, all they're jumping up and say it's a new party. It's Tobago Forwards. That's the bedrock. Hence, somebody show me something where they're having some family day. Where they're having it? In the home of the Forwards, Bethel. Bethel is the home of Tobago Forwards. At least it used to be the home. Whatever remnants they have there. They don't want to see that blue party at all in Bethel. So they have their own mental problems that they're trying to project on the PDP. The PDP has been a perfect party and was perfect for them until they win. When they win, the PDP then became imperfect. Oh, how they're so ungrateful. They're so wicked and wretched.
All right. And outside of the launch, are you guys also planning similar outreach activities to engage Tobagonians?
We have always been engaging Tobagonians. One of the things I will not do is to identify any candidate before the date. I will not do that. That is too costly and it could be very damaging to the party. Whereas before, I would identify my candidates a year before and say, look, Tobago East, Tobago West. I'm not doing this again. Or your next chief secretary. Not again. I've learned my lesson well. That's one of the lessons I've learned from the Farley and Friends escapade, so to speak. Right? Never ever build people up way before election date because they will say, hey, I was up all the time. I put my name on the line for them. I put my fighting skills on the line to them. Could you have ever imagined a party led by Farley on Faith trying to contest elections prior to my coming in to Tobago? Huh? When there was 12-0, if Farley and Faith had formed a party, could they have won an election? Not at all. Not at all. No one would have taken them seriously. But I built them up. Dr. Faith failed to win. I brought her back in as a counselor. Built her up. Say they're good, they're bright. Take them. New people. And what do I get? The party was never good. Duke was a bad man. Duke was crazy. We bright. So you go do your own thing now. They're so bright, they can't make a flashlight. They can't do nothing. All of them, we are seeing the effects of poor education. Their teachers must be sorry that they have taught them.
Understood. And we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after these messages. See you soon, guys.
Yeah.